Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Do you have a fitness tracker? Something like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch? If this isn't something you're familiar with, so just a little quick back thing, they're mostly watch-like devices that you wear on your wrist that can track a bunch of different things. They range in price from about $40 to potentially $600 depending on the brand and what you're looking to track. And they're really popular, very, very popular. Lots of people are wearing them. If you do have one, I'm really curious, what was it that made you get one? Are you looking to track your steps? Do you like the look of them? Did you just need a new watch? I'm always curious what people's deciding factors are. So please, if you're comfortable, share below. Let me know what you're using and why you chose that brand. And there are a lot of reasons that people would want to try these out. So first and foremost, what do they track? So these fitness trackers have the ability to track a ton of data. And as a scientist, I love data, but we also need to be aware of what we're tracking and why. So I think that that's an important thing that I kind of want to dive into a little bit today to explain what the fitness trackers are looking at, why they're looking at it potentially, and kind of how to optimize those for yourself. So these fitness trackers can track things like heart rate, breathing rate. They can track your sleep patterns, some of them. They can track your daily steps. They can track your blood oxygen levels. And some of them will do GPS tracking. So if you're going on a run or a walk or whatever, they can kind of track your route, how far you went, maybe even elevation, depending on the different models and brands, but you can get quite a lot of information from them. I think most people use them to track heart rate and step count. I think that's probably the most common. They can also be used as a watch. You can get calls and texts from them. It's like a little computer that sits on your arm, essentially. So huge variety of options. Some people use them for everything. Some people use them just for a couple things, but they do have the ability to track a lot of stuff. But you see, I have a really unpopular opinion about fitness trackers in that I don't love them. And I'm going to explain why to you. There are pros and cons, and I would say the biggest pro about fitness trackers is the awareness. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You cannot change, fix, optimize anything that you're not aware of. So if you're looking to improve your movement, having a fitness tracker tell you what your resting heart rate is can be a really good place to start. Having a fitness tracker tell you, oh, you think you're getting 10,000 steps in a day, but you're really only getting 2,000. That gives you a baseline that you know what to do with. You can't change anything without awareness. And so I think if you are looking to improve whatever, health, energy, movement, activity, sleep in some cases, I'll dive into that in a little bit more detail. These fitness trackers can give you a decent baseline of awareness to let you know where you're starting from and kind of maybe where you want to focus on. So if your goal is to just improve increase the number of steps you're getting in a day, you know that you're working from, let's say, a baseline of 2,000, you want to get up to 10,000. Now you have a tool that will give you the feedback to let you know how you're doing and if you're on your way to that goal. They can be actually really good tools too for heart rate. So if you're someone who is working out and exercising within a heart rate range, which is a thing, we want to increase our heart rate when we exercise, but we don't want it to go too high. So if you're someone who kind of wants to keep an eye on where your heart rate is or make sure you're in a specific zone, a fitness tracker can be a really good tool to kind of help you quickly monitor that. But one of the potential downsides of these fitness trackers is their accuracy, right? And that is a question for anything. So are you going to get a decently accurate heart rate monitor from them? Potentially, especially if you're investing in probably some more of the expensive ones. They're probably a bit more accurate. A heart rate isn't that difficult to do for yourself. You can just find your pulse in your wrist or find it in your neck, and just if you count till 60, that gives you your heart rate. So it is possible to get that for your information for yourself, but a fitness tracker can give it to you a little bit quicker. The accuracy of the step tracker, honestly, is probably similar to any sort of pedometer. So there's pedometers on everything right now. You can get pedometer on your phone, the good old-fashioned ones that you used to clip on your belt. Old-fashioned, I'm aging myself here. The good old-fashioned ones used to clip on your belt that would just jiggle when you walk and count your steps. Are any of them really accurate? I don't know. I'm not really quite sure what the accuracy is of them, but does accuracy matter? So is accuracy important in what your heart rate is? Maybe if you're training in a certain heart rate zone, potentially. Is the accuracy of a pedometer important? Does it matter if you're aiming for 10,000 steps a day? Does it matter if you took 9,000 or does it matter if you took 11,000? I don't know. That's an individual thing that's up to you. So just know that accuracy is one of those things that I would question around a fitness tracker, especially if it's on the more inexpensive side. But there are 3 real reasons why aside from accuracy, that I don't love fitness trackers. So number 1 is that it's really easy to get obsessed with them. A lot of people find it that the fitness tracker is driving them. So if their goal is to get 10,000 steps in a day, they become kind of obsessed with checking to see where their steps are. It becomes a big priority for them, and they can have a hard time letting go of what their steps are at versus what's actually happening to them right now. So fitness trackers can lead for some people into that realm of like obsession and just consistently checking them and not really being present, not really being aware of what's happening right now. And that is a bit of a reason that I'm not the biggest fan of them. So that's reason number 1. But reason number 2 actually kind of ties into this. And this is the concept of motivation. So there are 2 types of motivation. There's external motivation and internal motivation. Internal motivation is when we motivate ourselves internally to do something. So internal motivation comes from basically how we feel. External motivation is motivation that we are responding to for something outside of ourselves. So a good example for this is when you were a kid, if your parents had high expectations, let's say they expected you to get good grades, maybe you worked really hard in school to meet their expectations. So you're not getting good grades, or you're not working hard to get good grades because for you it feels good. You're working hard to get good grades because your parents expect it of you. So the motivation is coming from external, it's coming from the outside. Now, motivation in humans is a very tricky subject. There's a lot of psychology around this. But when it comes back to this, tying this back to this fitness tracker, a fitness tracker is very much an external motivation. So it's very easy to fall into this pattern of using a fitness tracker because the fitness tracker tells you what to do. So you want to get 10,000 steps, not because it makes you feel good or not because you're sleeping better, but because your fitness tracker tells you that you haven't had 10,000 steps in a day. There isn't anything inherently wrong with external motivation, but long-lasting habit changes, long-lasting lifestyle habits that we implement are far more likely to succeed and to be long-lasting when they come from internal motivation. And this is one of the things that I think is not so optimal about these fitness trackers. We are going to be more likely to eat well and sleep well and move regularly and do all of those things when we feel good. And what it always comes back to for me is always this internal awareness, this checking in to see how you feel. How did you feel after that workout? How did you feel after that meal? How did you feel after spending time with friends and hanging out and laughing, right? It's the internal, I'll say temperature, the internal checking in that is and should be a priority for us. And the one thing, not the one thing, but one of the things that really I'm not so comfortable with the fitness tracker is when the external motivation is outside of us. It means that we stop listening to ourselves. So let's say you're really not feeling well. You don't sleep well one night. You wake up in the morning, you're really dragging your butt, but your fitness tracker is telling you all day, you need 10,000 steps, you need to move, you need to move. It's making you feel guilty for resting. It's making you feel like you're not living up to things. It's making you feel like you need to listen to it before you listen to yourself. Because your fitness tracker may or may not know you didn't sleep well, but it doesn't really take that into account, right? It's saying this is your goal, you need to meet your goal. I'm not saying that you shouldn't push yourself. So if you had a really bad sleep or you're not feeling well, yeah, maybe going for a walk is the best thing that you can do. But you have to judge that based on how you feel and based on how you think you will feel after a walk, not based on what your fitness tracker is telling you. And I think this is my biggest pet peeve, is that this is an external device that once again separates us from how we feel with the activity that we're doing. And so I always recommend to people, if you're going to use a fitness tracker, that's fine. Just be aware of what is motivating you and the external motivation that's coming from that. and that you need to listen to you first and foremost before you follow up with that fitness tracker. The third challenge I'll say that I have with fitness trackers is actually when it comes to sleep. A lot of people use them to track how they sleep. And as someone myself who works a lot in sleep, I talk about this a lot with people. Now, they can give you a bit of an overview on what your sleep is looking like, but the accuracy of them when it comes to sleep is not great. I really prefer people, again, this awareness, this internal awareness, to be aware of how they feel when they woke up in the morning. So did you notice that you were awake during the night? Did you notice yourself tossing and turning? If not, that's fine. But when you wake up in the morning, if you feel like you had a really good sleep and you wake up in the morning and you're still exhausted, well, what then? Where you would go then, honestly, is your doctor. Because if you feel like you're sleeping well, but you're still exhausted during the day, you might actually need a really good sleep study. A sleep study done in a professional sleep lab is going to give you the most accurate information about sleep that you can get. It's not always comfortable. You get hooked up to a lot of wires. You're sleeping in a bed that's not your own. People are kind of monitoring you while you sleep. It's not optimal, but that is where the best information is going to get. That's where you're going to get the best information. And so if you're getting your sleep information exclusively from a fitness tracker, just know that you really need to judge how you're feeling after a night or several nights of sleep, as opposed to what the fitness tracker is telling you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I don't wear a fitness tracker. I just like to be able to base my decisions on how I'm feeling, and I like to be able to rely on my own internal motivation. So I like to be able to wake up in the morning and know, okay, I'm going to do this exercise this morning. I am tired, but I feel like this is a really good challenge for me. Or I have tons of energy, I'm going to do this one. Or I'm exhausted and I'm feeling really depleted and I need something a little bit quieter and softer. I make that decision based on how I feel in the morning, and I don't really work out within a heart rate zone, although I know a lot of people do. I do check my heart rate once in a while. I count it manually. So I don't personally feel like I need a fitness tracker. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with them so long as you're using them properly. They can be a really great tool if you know how you're using them, and if you make sure that the motivation that you're looking for and the feedback that you're looking for is coming from internal as opposed to those. When you've got that sorted out, they can actually be a really great tool to kind of help guide you, like I said, to bring awareness to where your baseline is at, where you're going, and how what you've done in a day. There's a really fun video by a Canadian sketch group called Baroness Fun Sketch. I'm going to link it below. They talk about Fitbits in particular. It's just like a minute long. It's pretty fun if you're looking for a laugh. Please share your experience with your fitness trackers. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Which type do you use? What works for you? Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day.